So the topic is be bored. Most of the last 10 years, I'm on my phone because like everybody else, I refuse to be bored. And the conversation gets boring for a moment. Instead of waiting for it to end or looking around or seeing what's interesting, phone pops out. And I realized how much boredom is the basis of fun. Boredom is the basis of creativity. Boredom is the basis of spirituality. There's so many things that are born out of boredom.
Boredom is what creates that creativity. It enables the creativity, maybe. Like, it allows the creativity to happen.
I'm just here for entertainment value.
For a what?
Entertainment value.
Oh, I thought you said exam. Like, wait, this is a test?
You're like, what's going on?
So welcome, Matt, to the podcast.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about all that kind of stuff.
So my name is Matt Larsen. I'm a physician. I'm a child psychiatrist. Do you want the whole spiel
sure.
of all? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a father of 5. We have fostered, we have adopted, we have our biological children. We've moved all over the country. I went to school for 13 years after high school, between med school, residency, fellowship. I'm double board certified psychiatry, child psychiatry. I run a training program called the Residency for doctors who want to become psychiatrists. I was the medical staff president at the hospital the last 2 years. Now I'm in charge of credentialing doctors and disciplining doctors. And I speak mostly about youth and how to raise our kids so they turn out awesome.
Sweet, which I love because we have kids together,
Right?
same ages.
And our kids hang out and they do theater together and
Yes.
Taco Tuesday.
And now they're launching. You
I
have
know.
one that's graduated.
Yes.
I have one and a half that's graduated.
Yeah.
And mine linger longer than yours do.
Well, my first is lingering. She did college and she wants to go
I meant
serve
my
a church
littles.
mission.
Yes.
Yes, yours will be her. Yours
Yeah.
will be around longer.
Yeah.
My youngest is 13.
Yes. See, and my youngest is 6. So
Yeah.
I have additional years.
We had
than
5
you
kids in
will.
5 years, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's how, pack it in there tight. And you guys have done a 50 states
Yes.
journey. Tell us about that.
So we decided a long time ago we wanted to give the kids experiences every year that were memorable. And it was trying to decide, is it the same place every year? Like my wife's family always went to Star Valley, Wyoming every summer. That was the place. And it was trying to decide, do we go to one place? Like, do we have a cabin we rent or a place or a lake we go to? And I was like, let's go to all 50 states. We'll get the kids to all 50 states before they graduate high school. So it started when I was going to the National Conference for Child Psychiatrists every year, and they'd move it every year. So the first one we went to was in...
Do you need drinkage?
I just drank a ton.
Okay.
So the first one we went to was in San Antonio. So we drove from Idaho to San Antonio, Texas, and we took 3 days to get there. And then we took another 3 or 4 days to get back. And the rule was you had to do something unique in each state.
Okay.
Either eat somewhere interesting, stop somewhere interesting that you could only see there.
Okay.
And then it kept happening, and we kept going different states. New England, the South, the middle of the country, starting in North Dakota and going down to Oklahoma. And the kids, some of the trips they loved, some they didn't like this part or that part, but they remember every single state.
That's interesting.
And I had never associated it with what we're talking about today with being bored, but I realized how much time they spent in the car. My kids can ride in the car for 10 hours.
Wow.
They're fine.
So did you have movies and tech and what did you have in the car?
We did. I mean, we were in a minivan that had a VCR for the first trip. And so you could watch a movie or two, but nobody had a phone or a device. There were no switches because it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And one, not all the tech existed, and two, we couldn't afford it.
Poor college students.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't have, I think, I didn't even have a smartphone when we started it. I had a flip phone, and I probably had a laptop.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And so as the trips progressed, eventually more people got phones and things, but we really worked to just pay attention to where we were and what we were doing. And the kids learned to ride a subway and take taxis and take buses.
And see cities.
And see all these great cities. So they're not scared. Like, they have a healthy respect for staying safe.
Yeah.
But they've been through Chicago, and they've been through New York, and they've been through New Orleans, and
yeah, they can do it.
they're not afraid of any of that stuff.
That's cool. So introduce our topic.
So the topic is be bored. And this comes from, I read parenting books and child psychiatry books and psychology books and self-help and self-improvement and books literally on fun. And it keeps coming back to the same point. We have sacrificed all boredom, which I get why. Who likes being bored?
Right.
But when you sacrifice boredom, you sacrifice all the great things that are born from boredom.
Okay.
And that has killed us.
Interesting. And that, do you feel like from all of this research, is that just recently? Is this like a trend that's happened over time?
Well, it's always existed, because it's kind of like we talk about how terrible phones are and how parents ignore their kids with phones. And I'm like, well, parents used to ignore their kids.
Like reading the
with
newspaper.
Their jobs, with the newspaper, with the radio, with the television, with the ball game. Like,
yeah.
There's always been ways to ignore the people around you.
There's always ways to ignore your
There's
kids.
always ways to ignore your kids. This is not new.
Yeah.
There's always been bad parenting.
Yeah.
But phones have made it, one, mobile. You can take it with you everywhere. You can now,
accessible even.
Nobody reads a newspaper at a stoplight.
Right.
Or in the grocery store line. That's why people were picking up the magazines. I used to see people read the magazines in the checkout line.
Are there even magazines still
I don't know, because no one's looking, because everyone's just staring at their phone.
That's interesting.
Because phones, for good and bad, are always mildly entertaining.
Just enough entertainment.
They're just entertaining enough to keep you from doing what you should. And just entertaining enough to keep you from getting bored. And that's why people sleep so terribly. Like, there's always been ways to read books, but reading books to fall asleep, you had to be reading.
Yeah.
Once you read the same paragraph 3 times because you lost it, you'd fall asleep and the page would get bent. And
yeah.
You wake up in the morning with a
Holding
mangled book.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And phones are just, they'll entertain you. They'll keep playing even when you've stopped paying attention. And so I realized, because I fell into the same trap as everybody else.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Most of the last 10 years, I'm on my phone. 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day. Because like everybody else, I refuse to be bored.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting with friends and the conversation lulls for a moment, at dinner with my parents, with my sister, and the conversation gets boring for a moment, instead of waiting for it to end or looking around or seeing what's interesting, phone pops out. And I realized how much boredom is the basis of fun. Boredom is the basis of creativity. Boredom is the basis of spirituality. There's so many things that are born out of boredom. And one day it really hit home. We were fostering at the time, and one of my foster kids, their bio siblings were over. It was February in Idaho. It was snow. It was cold. And at that moment, we weren't allowing screens. The kids had probably broken some rule, like, okay, everything's off.
Yeah.
And so one of the brothers had brought over a Switch and was playing Nintendo, and I didn't feel like I could kick somebody else's kid off their device.
Yeah.
But all the other kids got their snow clothes on because they were bored and went outside. And they found the trampoline, and they found a half-flat basketball, volleyball, something, and they made up a game. And they started playing with the ball on the trampoline, and it was great. And they started laughing. They were laughing loud enough you could hear it inside the house. And the one kid still in the house playing the Switch looked out the window and saw them playing, and he was like, they're having a blast. And you could just see in his mind, he's like, that's way better than what I'm doing. So he was like, I'll get to a save point and go out and join him. And he did. He got to the save point, went and got his snow clothes and put them on. And what was happening just as he got to the door?
They were being done.
They were done.
Oh.
And they came in.
Yeah.
And I saw him kind of complain and whine. He's like, I wanted to have fun. And I didn't say this out loud to him at the moment, but I thought to myself, no, you didn't. Because you didn't want to be bored enough to make the fun.
Wow, that's really profound.
You weren't willing
Yeah.
to let yourself get to that point. It's kind of like most epiphanies take someone sitting and thinking about something for a long period of time.
I was just reading about the TV was invented by a kid in Idaho.
Yes.
With like doing the field, doing his like chores.
It was based on the rows
Yeah.
in a field, like potato rows.
Yeah.
Yep. He was Philo T. Farnsworth with the image dissector.
Yes.
Yep. I did a report on him sometime at school because I'm from Idaho, and I've been to the TV museum.
Oh, that's cool. But yeah, that's the concept, right?
Yes.
Like boredom is what creates that creativity.
Right.
It enables the creativity, maybe. Like it allows the creativity to happen.
Because I have so many hobbies and projects, and I can tell, like, I'm writing a script for a play, and I'll work on it, and then I won't touch it.
Plug your play, actually. And you
For
got
months.
books too.
Yeah.
Go ahead, plug
Well,
that.
well, first I'll finish this, and I'll talk about it.
Okay.
So I wrote the script. I thought it was genius. It was perfect. 10 months ago, I had all my acting friends over to do a read through.
Oh, yeah.
We read it through, and I could tell as we were reading, nobody's feeling a thing.
Mm.
Even just reading a script without having acting and lights and all that, you should feel sad and happy and angry, and you could feel
The
the
emotions.
investment, the emotions.
Yeah.
None of it.
Huh.
We got to the end of the play, and they were like, "Yeah, this was fun to get together. We should do this more often." And I was like, "Oh,
Ooh, ouch.
ouch!
That hurt my heart.
That means you didn't like it at all, and it wasn't good."
Yeah.
And now that I worked on rewriting, I realized I was going really slow. It's because I always had my phone next to me while I was rewriting.
Oh,
And I get distracted, and I realized how much Facebook has ruined our attention. Social media, all of it. Facebook's just what I use. But how much it's ruined our attention because it's not back and forth like this.
Mm-hmm.
You post and then you wait for reactions.
Which I will tell them, anybody listening, if you follow Matt, you don't wait long. And that, like, Matt stirs that pot and gets those reactions going fast.
It's possible I post some hot button topics once in a while.
Yes.
But I realized that's
that's
what social media is. It's asynchronous communication.
Okay.
Because you're not
Interesting.
chatting back and forth like we are.
Right.
You put something out there and then you wait for other people to judge it.
Yeah.
Positive or negative. And the more erratic, the more explosive, the more angry, the more spicy
Yeah.
in any direction, the more responses you're going to get.
Yeah. The more engagement you get with
Exactly. Which gives you more reward.
Mm.
And I realized while I'm trying to write my script of my play, I want to see, what did someone think of the thing I posted 2 hours ago? Does it have another like? Does it have another comment?
It kept pulling you away.
It kept pulling me away.
Yeah.
I've sacrificed my attention for praise, for fame,
For stars or likes.
for
or
stars, for likes,
whatever.
for reactions, for laughs, for comments.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sacrificing my creativity. Like, I like writing.
Yeah.
I like theater. I like emotional stories that connect and teach you a lesson. And I'm trying to write that into a script, and I can't get it done because I won't get off my phone. And I won't get off social media, and I want to keep checking who's replied.
So you use Brick now.
Yes.
Is that so? Tell us more about what you've learned.
So that's my current attempt, is the Brick app. First, I'll give this. 3 years ago, I tried to decrease my phone usage.
Okay.
I was doing about 6 hours a day on my phone, 43 hours a week.
That's a full-time job.
Right?
Yeah.
It is. And I realized, and I have 3 full-time jobs and 5 kids and multiple hobbies, and I think I actually do them all fairly well.
Yeah.
And I was still spending that much time on
Wow.
my phone. So at first I was like, well, let's just use it less.
Yeah.
Willpower got me about 3 hours less per week.
Okay. Per week.
Per week.
Oh, that's not very much.
Because willpower doesn't do much.
Yeah.
Willpower is very temporary.
Yeah.
Willpower always runs out. So then I was like, okay, let's delete all the interesting apps.
Okay.
Delete all the social media, the sports, the news, everything, so that my phone's boring.
Okay.
That got me down to about 4 hours a day instead of
Okay.
6.
Okay.
So I lost, 14 hours a week. It was pretty good. And I was like, let's start leaving my phone when I don't need it. Leave it in my bedroom when I'm watching TV, when I'm eating dinner.
I
Leave
think
it.
I recall this because you'd show up at Taco Tuesday without a phone.
Correct.
at
I'd leave it
times.
in the car.
Yeah.
Because I was like, everyone I'm responsible for in an emergency is here
At Taco Tuesday.
at Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, I'm responsible for my kids and my spouse, and they're all here.
Yeah.
So anybody else who needs an emergency is calling someone
Yeah.
else.
Which you weren't on call at those times, clearly.
Correct. I wasn't on call at the hospital. Like, I wasn't
Right.
being negligent.
Right.
But it was realizing it's like everyone who needs me in an emergency is here, and everyone else can wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Because it really hurt when I realized I was sitting tangenting
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
I was sitting at dinner with my sister at Buffalo Wild Wings, and about an hour in, my phone buzzed and I pulled it out. And she's like, Matt, that's about the 26th time you've checked your phone since we sat down.
26. She'd been counting.
Yeah. And she lives a state away. And she's like, I'm only in town this one night. Could you just be here with me?
Straight to the heart.
Right? And I was like, it hurt.
Yeah.
And I realized, one, she's my sister. I genuinely do like her. But I was like, she's also the person I agreed to spend time with right now.
Yeah.
So why is anyone more important?
Yeah.
Unless the house is burning down,
And what it wasn't,
the kid's in trouble.
it wasn't really anything that you were looking at.
No,
It was
all of it was useless.
Yeah. Interesting.
My sports team scored.
Yeah.
There's a new news update on the president and what they're doing. It was all useless
Same
things.
old, same old stuff.
Same old stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting, but not at all important. Not
That's
urgent, at
interesting.
least. So I kept trying to decrease my time and decrease my time. The lowest I ever got was 2.5 hours a day.
Okay.
And that's when I was like trying my hardest.
Mm.
And then it had been about 4 months and I stopped trying and it went right back to 6 hours a day
Oh, interesting.
because it was just like a crash diet.
Yeah.
It's like I will temporarily eat less calories. I will temporarily
Yeah.
exercise. It was exactly that with my phone.
Huh.
It was all
Yeah.
temporary. I tried using a smartwatch. I tried grayscaling my phone.
Yeah. That's
Did all
what I
these things.
did.
Right.
Yeah.
And it works for some people.
Right.
What I finally did was I debated getting a flip phone, but I love the camera
I know.
and I love GPS.
Yeah.
And the calendar is really, really useful.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
things on it. I'm like, I'm not willing to lose that. And even Facebook and social media, I'm like, I do theater. That's how I find out about auditions and friends' shows I want to go to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not willing to give all of that up.
Right.
So the Brick app literally lets you block whatever apps you pick.
So you just started this.
Yeah, like 3 weeks ago.
Okay. So you download the app, and then there's also a device.
There's a physical device you go to and you push the button Brick and it turns your phone off except for the apps you've decided to keep.
Okay.
Or you can make it whitelist or blacklist.
Right.
But then until you come back to that physical Brick, you can't turn your phone back on.
So you have to get out of bed and go
Right.
press the button or get off the couch.
So when I'm doing family time, I Brick it in the kitchen and go sit down with my family watching the movie. If the movie gets boring, I'll go to pull out my phone. I'm like, oh yeah, there's nothing interesting on here. I should just watch
I wonder
the
how many
movie.
times you pull out your phone.
Right. And now I've noticed I pull it out a little bit less.
Mm.
Like I'm terrible. I always pull my phone out at stoplights. You shouldn't. It's awful. Don't.
Yeah.
But I realize now it's bricked.
And
And so I go to pull it out
you
and I'm like,
know.
there's nothing there. So now I reach and I pull it out less often and I'm starting to have the impulse less often.
Interesting.
And if I can get to the point I treat my phone as a tool that I use on purpose. And I pull it out when I need it. Not because I'm bored. And not because, but I already turned off all notifications a long time ago.
Yeah, I did that.
Because I never want my phone to ding or buzz.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I will pay attention to it when I want to pay attention to it. Like it'll still ring.
Right.
If someone calls me,
Right.
sure, but how often does anybody call anybody?
Yeah. Yeah, it's rare.
So, I mean, right now,
So far, it's been a success.
right now I'm down to an hour and a half a day.
Wow.
And it's been that for 2 weeks.
And do you feel okay?
It's awesome.
Do we need a support
Do you know how much I
group?
got done on my script in the last 2 weeks?
Oh, interesting.
How many games I've played with my kids? Like, we haven't played a board game until the last 2 weeks for probably 6 months, other than like Christmas
Right.
and Thanksgiving,
right.
like some special holiday.
Breaks.
And then
It's just like
Last
a
night-
Wednesday.
last night, played Pinochle.
Oh my gosh.
3 nights before, played Farkle and played something else.
Yeah.
Because the devices are off and we end up having fun together and we create fun because we're all a little bit bored.
Wow. That's amazing. So has everybody in your family bought into it?
Yes, and it's gone well because they've seen me over and over again trying to fix things in my life. And I don't usually push it on them.
You're pretty open about that with your kids?
Yeah, I tell them all the time, like, that's how I talk to them about eating. Because I was 30 pounds overweight most of my adult life. And I crash dieted and lost it and regained it and crashed that over and over again. And finally, when I accepted that, I'm like, maybe I'll just be overweight the rest of my life. I can be happy like this, sure.
Yeah.
That's when I was finally able to make the change and eat healthier. And I realized, because like my kids were laughing a few days ago, there was leftover popcorn from the night before. And I heard my kid say to me, like my own words, because I took a bite. I'm like, should I keep eating this? He's like, is it unhealthy? Yes. Is it amazing? No. Then don't eat it. He's like, you always say, if you're going to eat something unhealthy, it better taste amazing. Because I tell the kids, I'm like, eat all the stuff.
Yeah.
Eat the sugar and the fat and the salt and all the things.
Yeah.
But if you're going to eat unhealthy, make it worth it. It's like when you're just hungry for a snack, eat something healthy. Have a piece of fruit, have a vegetable,
Yeah.
have the protein shake, whatever's healthy for you.
Yeah.
And then when you want to have the snack, go have it. Have the ice cream, have the sugar bomb, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting that you're relating that back to all of it, right? Like all of it can be related back to parenting and eating and sleeping and the phone use.
Right, because we all know all these things we should do.
Yeah.
And if our kids can see us over and over again trying to improve our lives without freaking out.
Yeah.
Like,
those extremes.
It's not because I have to lose weight or because I have to be off my phone.
Right.
It's like, I want to be more present.
I want to be better.
And so I see my kids and they'll kind of brag like, hey, I bricked my phone for 7 hours today.
So you have bricks for the kids on their phones?
Well, anybody can download the app for free. The physical brick's the only thing that costs anything.
Oh, okay.
So they'll brick it before they go to church, and it just keeps open scriptures and hymns and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Because church is boring half the time.
Yeah, it is.
You sit there listening to the sermon, and you're like, yep. I'll go to pull out my phone. I'm like, there's nothing on there. I will just listen to the sermon.
Interesting. That is really interesting. I like it. So, being bored. You have found a lot of success with being bored by putting away the device.
Correct.
What are some other tips and ways to do this for kids? Like, and maybe this is into like the doctor side of your life, of like the brain chemistry and the stuff that happens in our brain. What can we do? If you're listening, what is something that you could take away and do?
Well, then when you have the boredom, you have to allow your kids to do something fun.
Oh, I will say that sounds messy. Can I just say that?
It's messy and it's risky, and it has to be.
But like literally like dirty, and it's going to make a mess.
It's going to be a mess, and they're going to come in with cuts and bruises.
Yes.
And you have to be okay with that.
And crying.
Yes.
And
you have to let them climb the tree.
It's so much easier to just let them
and
sit
dig
on
the
my
hole
head.
in the dirt and puncture the hole in the thing that you care about.
Yeah. So there's a lot of letting go as parents is what you're trying to say.
You have to let them run outside and go to the park and ride their bike.
Fall down
And do all those things. And until they're in danger of like broken bone.
But even, I mean, like, come on, we can let them break.
Even then, it's like, I say don't put kids in danger of broken bones, but I was rollerblading with my kids and one fell and broke his arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we went to the doctor and got it fixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're all fine.
Yeah.
So we have to let our kids be bored.
It really is hard.
And then you have to let them go do things. Like parents are so averse to noise. We've given our kids anything to make them quiet. It used to be there was nothing in the house to make them quiet, so everybody got thrown outside.
Yeah. And
When's the last?
reversed.
Now it's reversed. Parents never throw their kids outside. It's never don't come back until nightfall.
The lights are on.
It's don't you dare leave. The world is dangerous.
Yeah.
Everyone will hurt you. Everyone will take you. Everyone will.
Yeah.
On and on. I'm like, what's the risk of your kid being kidnapped by someone that's not family? Like almost none. What's the risk of your kid developing an anxiety disorder?
It's pretty high right now.
It's pretty high right now.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to go do anything and take any risks and handle any level of hardship. They can't handle bullying. They can't handle disagreeing.
Yeah. Oh, man. See, this is deep and hard stuff, I will say. Because, like, the pendulum swings, right? From generation to generation.
Right. 90s is when we kind of swung. We started swinging to keep your kids safe. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Yeah.
It's like, can you even imagine that ad today?
Right. Right. Tell about the commercial for those that don't know.
Oh, I don't even remember the original, but was it a radio commercial or was it TV?
I thought it was TV. It was like late night TV commercial.
Yeah, it would come on. It's like, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Because it was common not to.
Yeah.
It's common to let them run out, go play night games, come home sometime.
Yeah.
I grew up playing 2 streets over, kick the can and steal the flag in the
Yeah.
street under the nightlight until somebody whistled or some parent yelled
Yeah.
for us to go home.
Yeah. And
Like-
that's rare now.
And it's rare now because nobody goes out. I mean, I think about when's the last time you saw a cast at school or at church?
Oh, like a broken bone.
A broken bone.
Oh, that's
Almost nobody breaks
interesting.
bones anymore because nobody does anything dangerous enough to break a bone.
Is that a statistic? Is
yes.
that real?
Yes.
What?
Broken bones on kids have dropped through the floor. Like, I mean, just when we demonize trampolines,
Yeah.
you learn a lot on a trampoline.
Yeah.
You learn about physics. You learn about risk.
Yeah.
It's like I slammed my head on the bar when my brothers bounced me so high. I swore I was higher than the top of the house.
Yeah.
And you learn.
Yeah.
And of course, someone's got the story of the terrible thing that happened.
Right.
And that is true, and it does exist. But we took away all risk, which means we took away all fun and all learning of how to deal with pain and fright.
Wow. I'd love
and
to
risk.
see that statistics. That's really interesting.
Oh, it's like when's the last time you saw kids? Like, I think when I was a kid, how many times I would build a dam in the gutter
Oh, yeah.
of the water.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw anyone build a dam in the gutter?
Well, it is snowing outside, so it's
Right.
very hard to do
Or you
that.
saw them build a snow pile in the backyard to do a little sledding or sliding.
Yeah.
Or you saw someone build a ramp with wooden blocks to ride their bike off of.
Mm-hmm.
No one's that bored.
Yeah.
No one's bored enough to create fun. Now, I admit I started fires. I didn't light anything on fire I wasn't supposed to,
Good.
but I played with magnifying glasses and I was a Boy Scout, so I knew how to
Yeah.
start fires,
I-
matches, and I did all of that. My mom was a piano teacher. My dad worked all day. He was a banker,
Yeah.
and we were fine.
You just played.
And we just played. And we dug stuff up in the backyard, and we found ants and centipedes, and
Yeah. All right. Now let's get into the questions because you are an expert of like, and not that I'm going to say my kids, but right, like I have a friend that has kids that are totally mine, but it's way easier to not fight the battle and to just
Yes.
let them sit on the phone. And like I can say like, oh, it's because like he has ADHD or like this is like way easier.
right.
Like what do I do? Like as a parent, what am I? Which this is kind of turning into a therapy session. Like
Right.
you can charge me for this.
It's multiple things. One, you have to show by example.
Okay.
You have to let yourself
Oh,
get bored.
man, that got hard fast.
You have to not need distraction all day, every day.
That's really hard for me, I will say, because I am a goer and doer.
Right. And it's like reminding your kids there's no such thing as multitasking. There's just ignoring 2 things at once.
Yeah.
You can switch quickly. I mean, all mothers know that. Anyone who's run a drive-through
Yeah.
knows that.
Yeah.
You can switch tasks quickly,
Okay.
but you can't actively focus on 2 things at once.
Mm. And you like tell that to people?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like even other than no screen time, if you're going to use a screen, the rule is 1 screen at a time.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before.
Because almost every parent I know will watch a TV with their family
Mm-hmm.
or a movie, and they'll have their laptop and they'll have their phone.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
They're usually on 3 screens at once.
Yeah.
People who work from home, some people work from home.
Yeah.
And a lot of people work and distract and distract. And there's an extra window open and a tab they switch to.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, number 1, Jamie's going to start leading by example, which, I mean, we're working on it. I've been working on it for a lot of years.
Right. I mean, you do Taco Tuesday.
Yeah. Taco Tuesday. We used to put signs up on the door, which we should start doing it again, right? Like put your technology away.
Right.
Do you remember the beginning of
Oh,
the
yeah.
time?
And I thought you were crazy for trying it because I'm like, no one's going to do that.
Yeah.
And now I realize how important it is. And that's the same thing with the kids. If you're the only parent that makes your kids get off phones and go outside, there's no one to play with.
Yeah.
You have to get other people to do it at the same time.
Yeah. That's hard.
Like sending your kid to school as the only one without a phone will hurt.
Mm.
If the school disallows phones from beginning to end, suddenly everyone's bored between classes and everyone's bored at lunch
Yeah.
and they create fun.
Which the kids at my Altars does that, or the school that my kids
Good.
go to does that, right? Like no phones at
Right.
all.
And my kid's school doesn't. It says no phones,
Yeah, but nobody.
but everyone just hides it in their lap
Yeah.
and plays with their backpack.
And the teachers are doing the same, right?
And the teachers are doing the same, and the teachers know it's not worth enforcing.
Oh yeah,
It's
they
not
don't
worth
want to be the
going
bad
after.
guy.
No, they're not going after 15 kids per class.
Yeah, even if it's that low,
Right.
yeah.
So one is lead by example.
Okay.
2 is really create the fun and make it happen.
Oh.
Give the suggestions like
be fun. What?
I mean, it was this Saturday because I'm actively thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it was Saturday morning. My kids were home. My wife was gone. And first of all, I can tell we've done pretty well parenting because a neighbor rode his bike over in the snow and knocked on our door.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because he knows my boys like to play.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we actually, because a lot of people tell me no one ever comes over. No one knocks on a door. No one rings a doorbell. I'm like, oh, my house, they still do.
Yeah, they do at my house too.
Right. So we're doing good.
Yeah. Oh,
We're doing well.
I'm so worried there.
So they came in and they were going to play on the computer together or Switch. And I was like, why don't you guys put your snow clothes on and go outside first? And
so
then
you made the suggestion.
I made that suggestion.
Okay.
And they said yes.
Okay.
And then I just read a book, The Anxious Generation.
Okay.
His last name's Haidt. I can't remember his first name. Anyway, Haidt. It's great. But all the research I know, including it from this book, says don't tell kids how to play, don't create rules, don't create consequences. They'll do it themselves. So I was like, I don't care if they make a snow fort or a snow angel or they just whitewash each other or a snowball. I don't care.
Yeah.
Let them go make fun because they're good kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went to make hot chocolate and cinnamon toast because that's what my mom would have done when I was a kid. So I was like, I'll make the nice thing.
Yeah. So when they come in and they're cold.
Exactly. So they come in later, and it was like I'd written the script.
Straight out of the book.
Straight out of the book. My son comes in. He's like, Dad, that was so great. We had a snowball fight, and we only had one rule. No face shots. But if you did get a face shot, then you had to face the firing squad. And everybody else got to throw snowballs at you, and you couldn't resist. And he said, and so when Ryan got hit in the face with a snowball by Victor had to face, and they started telling the whole story.
Yeah.
And I realized they did it.
Yeah.
They created their own game. They created their own consequences. They enforced their own consequences. Because if kids don't need a referee, they can call their own fouls. They can determine their own consequences. They learn really quick how to have fun,
How to
make fun,
collaborate, how to get along.
But I had to keep them from getting mildly entertained first. Because if they got mildly entertained by a screen, they're never gonna go create the fun.
Oh, that's interesting. So at Taco Tuesday, do you know one of the kids that comes over every time? I have named her, which we kind of came up with it together, the Imagination Captain. And it's Bryn that comes over. And I always make eye contact, right? Go be the Imagination Captain downstairs. Like that's kind of her role. And she has all these creative ideas. And she'll come up sometimes when she's come over to play at other times. And she's like, ugh, nobody will get off their screens. I'm like, oh, come on. We can do it. We can do it. We can make it fun. But it's hard.
It is
very hard.
Well, it's like tonight it was great because there were only about 6 of us.
Yeah.
And no one was on a phone.
Yeah.
And the jokes were hilarious. And the names were hilarious. I don't know if any of them will be remembered a week from now.
Yeah.
Maybe some of these things will come back and maybe they'll disappear, but it was fun.
Yeah. And those deep relationships.
Right, because deep relationships are made in boredom.
Yeah.
They're made in the silences.
Well, and we were even talking about the youth camp they're trying to plan and how youth camp, so much of it is the unplanned of the plan.
Yes.
That you try and do. And it's hard. It's hard to make it happen.
My 50 states road trips, I learned we needed enough unplanned time.
Yeah.
For relaxation and fun and creativity, and you need that. It was fun when we finally got to the point my wife was like, why don't you let the kids pick where we eat in each state on this trip? And I was like, it was hard giving that up.
Yeah.
But then they picked places I would never go.
Yeah.
And they looked online and they found a place they wanted and they were excited about it.
Yeah. Oh,
because
they remember that.
And they remember that.
Yeah.
And they started picking things, like asking my kids, if you asked me which one I wanted to go to when we went to Florida, I probably would have picked Disneyland over Universal.
Okay.
They picked Universal. Ended up being amazing, of course.
Right.
But just giving kids true responsibility and they're in charge. And then I made them figure out the route.
Mm.
Figure out how to get there and what time do they close, what time do they open, how do we
Yeah, a lot of purpose behind it too.
right.
Yeah, that is interesting. Ooh, that is interesting.
And they felt responsible. Like
Yeah.
when we pick a place, I'm like, okay, will everyone in the family find something to eat there that they like?
Mm.
Because we're not terribly picky, but
Yeah.
a little bit. Like I have one kid that loves hot food.
Okay.
If the place only offered spicy,
Mm.
it wouldn't work.
Right.
So empowering your kids by giving them actual decisions that matter. And if they pick wrong, you let them pick wrong
Yeah. And you go along with it.
and you go along with it.
Whew. Yeah.
Like I was floored. Again, she's 19, so it shouldn't floor me. She made calzones for the whole family. And she made the dough herself for the bread and spent like 3 hours
Oh, cool.
just baking. And I was like, I can't make calzones.
Yeah. I don't believe I can either.
I can't bake that. And
But
we've
she
taught our kids
researched it.
to bake
Yeah.
over time, and now they're doing stuff. They're surpassing
Yeah.
my wife and I.
Oh, isn't that the dream? Isn't that the
Right.
goal? Yeah.
Because you want your kids to stand on your shoulders and do something
Yeah.
bigger and better.
Yeah. Which is all about this becoming, right? And I think that that's something that you do really well is helping your kids to realize that they're going to be great. And whatever it is or however it is, like each one of them. And that's an awesome thing. That's hard. It's good. So you gave a fireside or a thing at the school the other day on this. Is there any other tips that you had in that?
One is, again, and the phrase is, keep your mind where your body is.
Okay.
Or focus on the room you're in.
Okay.
If you're in class, be in class. If you're watching a movie, watch the movie. If you're reading a book, just read the book. If you're podcasting with Jamie, podcast with Jamie.
Yeah. Be here.
My job is to pay attention to you right now.
Yeah.
If my family desperately needs me, they will
Yeah. They know where I live.
call, knock on the door. Right.
Yeah.
Do one thing at a time and do it deep.
Okay, so I will be honest here. I have a really hard time my friend has a hard time with her kids reading to. I have a hard time with my kids reading to me. I instantly fall asleep.
Right.
So what am I supposed to do?
Well, and having a simple background task is great.
Okay, because I do love
do the
Block
dishes.
Blast. Oh, I've been playing Block Blast.
Right.
If I can play or Tetris, right?
Right.
Like if I can
it's
play
something
that,
mindless, you're fine.
Oh, I feel so much better about my life.
Oh,
thank you, Matt.
Because like so many people need to fidget
Yes.
while they do something. They need something in their hand. They need to be doing a puzzle.
Oh, so that's okay.
Oh, yes.
I'm gonna be okay.
That's perfect. Yes.
I can sleep tonight. I feel
But it's something
better.
the other person can see you doing.
Yes, and I
while
kind
you're
of
there.
like let them know that that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'll play with fidgets and do stuff while I'm talking to somebody.
Okay.
That's fine.
Oh, man.
Because your active focus isn't somewhere else.
Okay.
I mean,
But my passive, what you're calling it? Passive focus can.
oh yeah,
Right.
passive focus can be wherever.
Okay.
Because it's similar to, have you ever been to a sporting event?
Well, yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's not my favorite, but
Right.
I do know the experience.
But if you're fully engaged and paying attention, you know when to be happy and when to be sad and what was good and what was bad and when the moment's getting really tense and when the game could be lost or won
Okay.
in that moment.
Yes.
And you can feel the tension in the air. Everyone can feel it.
Yes.
And everyone's cheering. And then you hear the one person, oh, what happened? Go, yay, good job. You're like, you missed
You missed
the
it.
whole experience.
You were in the room, but missed the experience.
You were in the room and missed the experience.
Okay.
Or you're watching TV and like, hey, can you rewind it? Or you all start laughing. Like, what was the joke? You're like, I can't tell you the joke because it's based on something that was funny a half an hour ago that brought back up 10 minutes ago
Yeah.
that then was really funny when this person walked in the room.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened with us
Yeah.
an
it
hour
totally
ago.
did.
One joke led to another, led to
Yeah.
another, led to another. They built on each other and you had a theme for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And the callbacks are like
The
funny
callbacks.
part. Yeah.
And if you're not watching the play, watching the show at the game, you miss it. Like, I brick my phone before I go to get my kids' basketball games. They're not great basketball players. The game is not impressive,
Yeah.
but I know who's played well. And I can watch my kid and watch them over and over again. Like, that was a good block. That was good defense. They hustled down the court this time.
Ooh, yes.
Because many games my kids will not, basketball even, they won't score a single point.
So you posted something the other day about counting down.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
Okay. I don't think this is specific to being bored, but
Well, you were bored watching the game, maybe. Like, I don't know.
anyway. So
but the kids are playing game. Like, you
yes,
can't play basketball holding a phone.
exactly. I do point that out to kids sometimes. I'm like, can you imagine trying to hold a phone while playing basketball? Like, that's impossible, right? Because it's such an active game.
Right.
Like, most of your life should be mentally that active.
Yeah, like
you
a
are
social,
fully in it.
Yeah, that social situation, that
Right.
like passing back and forth of the conversation. It's a game. It's a contact sport.
And it's a skill.
Yeah.
And you get better at it the more you do it. And I know so many kids who they have never socially enacted. Sorry,
That's okay.
skipping the basketball for a minute.
Yeah.
A statistic that terrified me.
Okay.
And at first sounds amazing.
Oh, interesting.
Sounds like the best thing ever.
Okay.
The teen rate of having had sex
Okay.
ever by age 18 has always been about 33 to 35%.
So 35% of kids by the age of 18 have had sex.
Right.
Okay.
It's always been about that.
Okay.
1/3 of people.
Okay.
It's been that through the 60s, 70s, 80s, free love. Like it all just stayed about the same.
Okay.
In the last 10, 13 years, it has dropped to 20%.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
That's a substantial change.
Yeah.
That's not 1%.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'll present this to religious groups. Like, isn't it wonderful? Teenagers aren't having sex.
Yeah.
Like, did kids suddenly become more moral?
No.
Are they more spiritual? Are they engaging in church more?
No.
No.
Not 10% of.
No, not even close. If anything, there's far less religion.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you think happened?
Wow. People
And I
don't
know-
know how to talk.
People don't know how to negotiate with someone else.
Yeah.
Flirting, being accepted, rejected, getting clothes off, being naked with somebody else. They
Yeah.
can't even get close.
Yeah.
I think kids would be more comfortable saying, "Well, excuse me, I'm going to go to the next room and take my clothes off, take a picture and send it to you."
Oh gosh. Oh, that's
Because they can
horrifying.
sext, but they cannot negotiate a
That-
conversation no matter what it's for. That's why they can't get a job.
Wow. Wow.
They can't handle the back and forth. They don't have the skills.
Yeah. Oh. Wow. And that's just been since
Since
you
about
s-
2012.
2012 is when that started. And the iPhone came out in 2008.
Yeah.
So that's not much far off from
Because
that.
once it became that interesting, again, like I said with social media, it's asynchronous.
Yeah.
It's not at the same time.
Right.
You don't figure out how to talk back and forth and give and take
Yeah.
and read body language and signals of who's interested in what and
Yeah.
what Fraser said tanked and what did well.
Right. Right.
They lose all that. It's like in basketball, you learn really quick what a bad pass is
Yeah.
and what a good pass is, and dribbling, how to do it right, and when you lose the ball. And the more you practice these skills, the better you get until finally you get in sync with your teammates and you have an amazing thing.
Right.
Like in theater, I've done it with people where first you have to memorize your lines.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have your lines memorized, nothing works. And then eventually, sometimes with an acting partner, you get to the point you can play off each other so well, it feels completely natural. And the audience is just fully in.
Yeah.
They don't think they're watching anybody act. It just feels real.
Yeah. Well, like that time when you got slapped.
Right? The last show I was in, I got slapped on stage. And we talked about ways to fake the sound. And when she was like, I'm like, we can make the sound really good on my face without leaving any mark. Dude,
Yeah.
just slap me.
Yeah. But there was a time you got on video that is
Yes.
like a significant slap.
It was big in the audience. Like you could just tell they felt it.
Yeah. And it's a small theater. Like
Oh, it was loud. It was big. And the whole audience reacted. It was great.
Yeah. And that's what you're saying. Like
Yes.
finding that and being a part of that, whether you're an audience member, you're in the game, in the play,
Right.
in the whatever it is.
Right. Like it's like trying to play somebody your favorite song from a movie or a musical. And they have no context. So it doesn't mean you play Defying Gravity from Wicked. Like, okay, it's a lady singing really loud.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is the culmination of all the feelings and all the things.
Didn't you feel it?
Right.
Yeah.
If you haven't been there for the build-up, you don't get the payoff.
Mm.
It's like checking the score of the Super Bowl.
Mm.
Yay, they won.
Yeah.
You didn't enjoy the journey. So my daughter playing basketball,
Yeah.
I could tell nobody was paying attention to the clock.
Which this is your youngest kid,
Yeah,
right?
she's 13. And the team's not great. They're a newer team. They're just trying to get the basics down.
Yeah.
Nobody's watching the clock, and they would just waste the end of every quarter. So I started calling out. I'm like, you got 1 minute, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10, and I'd count down.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter came out of the game, and she's like, please never do that again. You're just annoying us.
Ooh.
And I was like,
But I am paying attention.
I'm paying attention.
Fully
I'm
involved.
engaged. And I realized we've been talking about skills. Their skills are so basic. They're not good at dribbling. They're not good at passing. They're not good at driving the lane. They can't do anything with the information.
Yeah.
If I tell them 10 seconds left,
It means nothing.
they
to
can't do
them.
anything with it.
Hmm.
They can't rush and make a basket. They don't have the ability.
Mm.
And I was like, the information I'm giving them is useless to them.
Mm.
If I say so-and-so is open or pass or dribble, they have that skill.
They have that skill. That's interesting.
So you can give kids information that is useless. Like if I say to most Americans eat too many carbohydrates.
Yes.
If I say to a kid, eat less carbs, and they don't know what a carb is,
Yeah. It means nothing.
it means
to them.
nothing.
Yeah. So how do you say to a kid have sex without saying have sex?
Right.
But
And you
like,
don't.
But that's a skill, right? Like
Right.
eventually we hope you do, because like we do need to repopulate.
Right. But you just talk to your kids about talking to people. And can they order at the restaurant?
Oh.
Can they go ask the teacher a question?
Yeah.
Can they get their own refill? Like if you eat at a fast food restaurant, they get their own refills.
Yeah.
They go ask for the correction. If they need something corrected, they go ask themselves.
Yeah. That's a skill. That's like,
I mean, I live we live in the same neighborhood, but I probably live, an 10-minute walk away.
yeah.
My kids will walk home all the time on their own. They've done it since they were 8.
Yeah.
And it's fine. They know how to get home. If they don't, they'll figure it out.
So I have a friend. He walked home from recess. He's in kindergarten. They like couldn't find him at the school, and it turned into this whole thing. But they were kind of like,
Isn't that wonderful?
That's awesome.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's awesome. And I love that small town aspect. Like that's why I do live in Idaho Falls, right? This little small town aspect. The kids can walk home. I know everybody between here and the school, so
Right.
and not every city has that. But how do you
No.
keep letting them? How do you keep putting kids out there? How do you keep helping them with this?
One is you have to really be okay with failure.
Mm.
You have to be okay with them messing up. You have to let them mow the lawn and let it be awful.
Mm.
You have to let them fail on the school assignment in elementary school and forget the science project and let them go to school without socks
Or
and forget,
mismatching.
and forget the coat
Yeah.
because it's like they're not going to freeze.
Yeah.
They're not going to get frostbite. If it's really that dangerous, yes.
Yes.
But if it's
Well,
not
like
that
throw
level,
a jacket in their backpack, right?
if it's not that
Like,
level, let them. They'll learn to be cold for the day and they'll learn not to forget their jacket again.
Mm. Yeah.
They'll learn to wear socks. They'll learn.
Yeah. And hopefully learn to be bored. So this fall, we're putting on a big event, more social, less media.
Yeah.
And we are going to try and really have a community get behind this effort
Right.
of being more social with less media.
And when I say be bored, I don't mean be bored long term.
Ooh.
Let
Okay.
yourself get bored enough to create something better.
Mm. I like that.
Because that's what I'm talking about. It's not be bored.
Yeah.
It's allow yourself to have enough boredom that you create something fun,
Mm.
something deep.
So
something
maybe it's actually
meaningful.
be fun is what it
Right.
probably needs
What it
to
really
be.
is be fun, be deep, be creative.
Yeah, be different, be unique.
Right. All those
of
things.
those things. Yeah.
But if you're so aversive to bored, it's like how many parents are aversive to any risk for their kids.
Mm.
They will not let them walk alone. They
Yeah.
cannot play in the front yard. They cannot fail. They cannot cut themselves. They cannot use a knife.
And I don't
They can't cook on the
think-
stove.
I don't think a parent, well, and maybe you have said this, like, because I feel like I'm going to say a Matt quote, but like it makes sense in their head.
Right.
So,
Because the parent's job is not to keep their kids safe.
Okay.
At least not from all pain. It's keep them safe from like in medicine we talk about mortality, morbidity,
Okay.
permanent disability. Yes,
Yes.
of course.
No cutting off of hands.
Right. There are things you keep your kids safe from.
Yes.
Most things we keep our kids safe from, they never needed us to keep safe from.
That's interesting.
Let them do all those things. Let them make the mess. Let them burn the food
And then
and
eat
screw
it.
the thing up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting, and I think we both have big families, right? So the things that I see these toddlers do, that my 20-year-old, I was way more focused, and she has a lot of things, and there was a lot of reason to be focused on her, but there's a lot of things to let go, and it's okay to let it go. Go ahead.
Well, that was one of the things we lost when families got so small.
Oh, because you're still figuring it
It
out.
used to be, and for good or for bad, one parent was always gone. Always making money.
Yeah,
And the other parent was with 5, 6, 7 kids.
yeah,
There was no way to keep them safe.
right.
You had to keep them alive.
Yeah, that was the bar.
That was the bar. Keep them alive. And those are the kids who developed the best and explored the most and learned the most lessons. And once we got down to 1 kid, 2 kids, and that's it. Hyper-focus, protect from all things. Don't ever get injured. Don't ever try anything interesting.
Yeah.
Don't ever get bored. I will entertain you all day, every day. I'm tired of entertaining you. Here's a phone.
Yeah.
Don't make noise.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that these 20-year-olds now that have been raised on phones and devices are going to make the choice to do it differently. And it's going to be hard. That's just life, and we don't know. I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch the statistics on how that is that this kind of rolls out from here. And COVID, like these kids went through COVID.
COVID just made everything worse because everyone isolated.
Yeah.
And learned to fear the world.
Oh, man.
And lost their skills of communication.
Social skills went down the toilet. Like you had no need, or like we were encouraged not to socialize.
The number of kids now who need to wear headphones during the day because they can't handle that much sound.
Interesting.
I'm like, you can't handle sound? Like, I'm not talking about kids with severe developmental delays.
Right.
I'm just talking average kids.
That just choose to wear headphones.
They're too anxious. The world is too loud and too messy. I'm like, it's always been this loud and it's always been this messy.
Yeah. So what do you do? How do you handle that?
Again, it's you can't like rip off all the Band-Aids at once. But you do have to get kids more paying attention. Used to winning and losing and playing games and injury and disappointment. I mean, the best toy ever invented, I think, was the spinning merry-go-round.
On the playgrounds that have been outlawed?
Yes, they've been outlawed.
Why is that the best toy?
It was the best toy because the more kids that were there, the more fun it was. You couldn't have a lot of fun on your own because you could only run so fast and hop on and it would die.
Okay.
It wouldn't spin anymore.
Okay.
But if you had some other kid pushing and there were 2 kids on, it was fun. If there were 5 kids on, if there were 8 kids on,
Oh my gosh.
that was so much fun. And you learned risk.
Yeah.
And you learned as the pusher, if someone's leg sticks out, they kick you.
Yeah.
So you had to watch for the legs while you're pushing.
Oh, that's
And you learned if
funny.
you swung too far, you'd fall off and you'd slam your face on the dirt
Yeah.
and you'd get injured. And you learned centrifugal force and physics and gravity and fun and screaming and risk. It was wonderful.
Oh, that's funny. We do not have that on playgrounds anymore.
No. We made toys that are so safe you couldn't injure ever.
Yeah.
Which means no one plays on them. Because if there's no risk, there's no fun.
Right. Right. Oh, that's so interesting.
We're so litigious. I mean, and I can't tell schools to put them back. I think they should.
Yeah.
But you got to make the laws so that parents can't see you when the kid comes home with a black eye and a scraped leg and a bruise.
Yeah. And probably a concussion, right? Like,
Yeah, but not many people got concussions from those.
Oh, man. Those were so dangerous.
Because that's when you learned to avoid concussions.
Oh,
like, I got a concussion as a kid skiing. I went off a jump I shouldn't have gone off.
Yeah.
Guess who learned not to go off jumps that big?
You did.
I still ski,
Yeah,
and I don't go off jumps that big.
that's funny. I think that I feel like I was the little sister of three really bigger brothers, and I was often put on that merry-go-round to the point of throwing up.
Yeah,
And so I'm okay to not bring those back.
right. But were you injured?
I guess not, but
No.
I've
Do you have PTSD from it, or is it just something you're like, I learned not to do that, not to
I
trust my other
learned
brothers?
I don't really like roller coasters.
Right.
Like, so yeah. And I guess I did stand up to him and then like, no, don't put me on that. So I guess I did figure it out.
You do.
But yeah, you do. It's hard. It's messy.
It is
That's
messy.
what it is.
We're so risk averse. We put our kids at the worst risk ever.
Mm. Yeah. Be
We
messy.
prevent this and cause this.
Mm.
We cause anxiety disorders and depressive disorders and avoidance.
Oh, that's hard to
We
hear.
cause all
because,
these things
like,
in our kids.
That's what we don't want, right? As a parent, you don't want that.
I mean, failure to launch. You go back long enough, 15-year-olds are moving out.
Yeah.
Now, try to get an 18-year-old to move out.
Right.
No one knows how to do anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, everyone wanted to drive.
Yeah.
In Idaho, you could get your license at 15. You could get your permit at 14.
Yeah.
I think it's still that way.
It is still that way.
And my kids are fighting to get their licenses because they know that's freedom.
Yeah.
They can go and they can do.
Yeah.
They can go on dates and they can go do things. A lot of kids I work with in my office, they don't want a
care.
license. They got everything they need right in the palm of their hand.
Ooh. Yeah.
There is no need to launch.
So helping to present it, we got to like make it enticing again.
Right. Well, that's what it is, because anybody who gets off of mild entertainment finds bigger entertainment. But first, you have to get boredom. So you have to get rid of the mild entertainment. It's kind of like going to bed on time.
And I don't even think it's mild entertainment. It's like mild distraction or
Yes.
like mild appeasement of your attention.
Right. It's just enough dopamine to keep you there.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's good. All right. So tips to take home. We have to be a good example.
Right. Adults show the example.
And like make it
Talk
fun.
about it.
Yeah.
Make it fun. Because when you get off your phone, make it fun. Engage in the conversation.
Don't just fall asleep.
Build the fun with your kids. Like 2 nights ago, I wanted to go to bed. One kid came running up. She got home from work. Ran up and I was like, now we're staying awake. Now
Yeah.
we're doing this with this kid.
Yeah. And QT time, that's what we do with our kids, right? The quality time to sit down and talk together. It's always way more awesome at like 10:30 at night,
Right.
11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, where we're like, oh my gosh, it's really
Gotta go to bed.
late. But that's when they open up. That's when they want to do things. And like we plug in devices in our room. And so it's always where like plug in the devices are plugged in. Oh, mom, let me tell you about this thing. Like, okay, we got to plug in devices maybe a little bit earlier or, setting up that situation.
So you set up situations, avoid mild distraction. Let yourself be bored. Boredom is the birthplace of fun. Fun requires stuff you can create with. And usually fun requires a little bit of risk. You have to be okay with the risk. Let your kids learn, let your kids explore.
And be messy. And
Exactly.
let it go. Let it go. Let it.
I mean, that's the beauty of having many kids that outnumber you.
we're
Once
definitely-
parents have 3 kids, it's awesome because
Yeah.
you can't control anything.
Yes. That is
Chaos
the
will happen,
truth.
and chaos leads to healthier kids.
Mm,
Like I'm not talking negligent parents.
Right.
Like
right.
just
Health. We have a sign that says our standards have lowered with each child.
right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Matt, for coming. I appreciate it so much. You are awesome. You are not boring by any means. And it's really fun to hang out. I think that we've known each other almost a decade now. And we've been bored together. And we've had fun together.
We've taken road trips and drives and
Yes.
yeah.
It's awesome. So continue to be bored with me. Like, let's do this more.
I will happily be bored with you. Thanks, Jamie.
Matt. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, you're awesome. Feeling inspired to slow down, embrace boredom, and enjoy the simple things in life? What if you could do that in the best small town in Idaho? We live in a place where doorbells still ring, neighbors still stop to chat, and the kids play outside until the streetlights come on. Life in eastern Idaho can be boring, and that's a good thing. If you're looking to relocate, the Be Home team is here to help you find the perfect home. Visit www.bee4home.com or call 208-254-2226. If you know someone looking to buy, sell, or invest, please send them our way. The best clients come from the friends and family of people we've already helped. If you are local or planning a trip, we hope to see you at our upcoming Taco Tuesday. Thanks to Garth, we know the tacos are always going to be amazing. And remember, when you walk in the door, no phones allowed. There will be great conversation with a few boring pauses, and that's intentional. Because that is where the magic happens. That's where deep relationships are built. We are creating the good old days we will talk about in our old age. What are you doing, or what are you planning on doing to be bored today?